Welcome back to the Holosky podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Steven.
And Kyle.
And it's the beginning of the work week, Holocult. You know what that means.
Back to the suck, baby.
Back to the suck. But we're here as your emotional support podcast to get you through this week. Kyle's been putting together a banger of an episode. I keep hearing little snippets. He keeps throwing me these little crumbs here and there. So
yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I'm excited to get into it, get down to business. But first, we got to get through the business. So check us out at all our social media. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Discord, Reddit. I think I covered all the bases there. Search up the Holosky podcast, and we will be there. Come and join the community. Join the cult. You know the drill. It's a good time. Today is our regular Monday show. Tomorrow will be the night shift recap. Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central. You can join us on YouTube for the live night shift. Call in. Join the chat. It's awesome.
It's a good time.
Good time. Thursday night drops our listener experience episodes. Just so nobody gets that confused. If you have an experience you'd like to have featured on a future listener experience episode, Kyle's got the deets.
I do. You can write your story out, shoot it over to the email, which is going to be holoskypodcast@gmail.com. You can record yourself speaking your story if you'd like. Send that to the same email. You can call or text the holophone at 618-556-0837. You can also send us weird shit or cool shit to Holosky Podcast, P.O. Box 145, Fielden, Illinois, 62031. All this information is always and forever in the show notes, along with the website link and Discord link. So if you want to partake in any of that, it is also in there.
The weirder, the better, honestly. Haunted, cursed, you name it, just send it.
Send it. Full send, people.
Full send. If you'd like to support the show, plenty of ways you can do it. We have a Patreon, which, as of right now, I've closed all the Patreon tiers except for the little $1 one. I'm going to be putting up the $7. So that's the only one anybody's going to be able to join. If you are a current member of any of the other tiers, you are going to have to cancel that membership and sign back up on the $7 tier. It's going to be the only one we're running. Makes things all kinds of easier.
Simplicity.
We don't want you to try to go in there, look for your ad-free shows, and be like, what has happened? What has happened is you haven't signed back up for the $7 tier.
Yeah, and you also get the shows early when you're on Patreon, extra content.
Ad-free.
And ad-free.
So, that'll be cool. That will be cool. We have a website and a merch store, holoskypodcast.com. Check out the store. Get you some merch to rep the Holocult out and about. We have a Venmo. You can throw a little pocket change in for all our bad habits. The best thing you can do, though, is share the show. Share the show. Share the show. Word of mouth, on the internet, however it is you need to do it, is the best way that you can do it. You can also go to wherever you catch your podcast at, your podcatcher, that is, and leave us a 5-star rating and review. When I find it, I will gladly shout you out. Today's 5-star rating and review comes to us from our friend Amberlyn 131313. She says, grab your monsters, 5 stars. Grab your monsters, drinks or otherwise, and come hang out with these guys. The Holocult is the best cult ever, or I've ever been a part of. Or at least, that's what I'd say if I've ever been a part of any other cult. These guys are the epitome of nerds when it comes to fringe subjects, and I always walk away feeling educated and enlightened by them. I highly recommend this podcast to anyone who wants to be a part of a community of weirdos who are always looking into strange and unusual subjects. You won't be disappointed. P.S. Don't join cults, kid, unless it's the Holocult. Love you guys. Keep up the great work. Amberlyn. Well, Amber.
Sound advice.
Sound advice. Wonderful 5-star rating. We appreciate you.
Now I feel like a paranormal monk.
You are.
I am.
That's why you should feel that way.
I agree.
But again, thanks for taking the time to leave us that wonderful 5-star rating and review. Everyone, follow in Amber's footsteps and join the cult. Just our cult. No, not other weird cult where they make you like take your clothes off and drink some weird punch.
Yeah, that's not very cool.
You don't want to do that.
No.
But
that's just a bad day for everybody involved.
Yes. 10 points to whoever gets that reference. I don't know what the points are for, but you get them. Kyle is about to take us on a trip.
Let's go.
A trip.
It is an interesting story. It highlights some of the misfortunes that our government will do from time to time.
No.
Yeah.
You don't say.
Yeah, I mean, it's just once in a while. So it involves the main character of the story is Amy Eskridge. And she was born in 1987.
Damn, not very old.
No, she's our age. She unfortunately passed away in June of 2022. I've been trying to find a lot of information on how she passed. It's extremely hard to find. I did find a couple things on it. They are conflicting reports, and we'll get into that later. But Amy was, bare minimum, described as a brilliant person. She graduated from the University of Alabama in Huntsville with a double major in chemistry and biology. She also became an interdisciplinarian and a master of electrical engineering, chemistry, physics, genetic engineering, and nanotechnology. So, like I said, this lady was a genius.
Damn.
Very accomplished.
Yeah, very educated.
Yes. And on top of all that, she also co-founded the Institute for Exotic Science in Huntsville, Alabama. Described by Amy, this was an international research institute specializing in propulsion, quantum gravity, material science, and other related fields of cutting-edge technology. She was also the CEO and president of Holocron Engineering, an anti-gravity startup developing novel technologies that would leverage quantum phenomenon. Its specialties are listed as superconductors, gravitomagnetism, research and development, electroceramics, and high voltage pulsed power.
Try saying that again.
Yeah, I can't.
Damn.
Furthermore, she also started the quote-unquote institute, which was high-caliber research that had the intention to research anti-gravity technologies in public. She wanted to unfold this because she was trying to keep herself away from black budget research and development programs. Going even farther, her father, Greg, actually worked for NASA. He was the technical lead of advanced propulsion with NASA.
So not only did she know her shit, she also had ins with people who knew their shit.
Yeah, she was like literally born into all of this.
That's awesome.
I think she was describing how at like 10 years old, her dad was teaching her quantum physics and stuff. Which is crazy.
Nuts.
This is a little off topic, but I find it weird considering. So I'm looking up Amy in the initial beginning of my research, and I'm looking on how she passed, and I do find her, right? But I also find another woman, and her name is Amy Christine Eskridge. Died in August of 2022. She was 37 when she passed. Our Amy was 34 when she passed. Also, if you didn't notice, Amy, I don't know, I may not have said it in the beginning, but Amy's full name is Amy Catherine Eskridge.
So very similar.
extremely similar.
Interesting.
Right? And I'm not insinuating that this is for sure related. I just find it very interesting, to say the least. They had very close times of death in similar circumstances. This Amy that I have found apparently passed from an undiagnosed problem. And our Amy, it's kind of in the shadows right now as to how she passed. There, like I said, it's conflicting reports, and we'll get into it later. But it's weird, right? You can't argue the fact that within several months, these two women with the exact same initials pass away. Very strange. But back to our Amy. Our Amy had a 2018 HAL 5 presentation. HAL 5 is Huntsville, Alabama L5 Society. It's a not-for-profit space educational and advocacy organization that believes space development can stimulate our world. She had this presentation when she was starting the quote-unquote institute. She presented a bunch of her anti-gravity research, and most of the audience there were aerospace research scientists, defense contractors, and NASA. It's also worth noting that the general public, as far as I can tell, can also partake in these seminars. However, it obviously seems that more of the educated side of humanity attends these because, let's face it, most of the conversations they're going to have are going to be far beyond what our brains can handle.
Yeah, I'm probably going to sit that one out.
That's kind of where I'm at. Her presentation was more of a recruiting platform on this day. She was explaining to everyone in the room how she had a few billionaires lined up to help fund the research. She was hoping that this would lure some of these top-tier scientists to come and work for her and the Institute and help work on these new technologies. During the speech, she also brings up some other promising anti-gravity research in the public area. Once these people stumble onto something that is promising, they seem to immediately stop publishing anything and then disappear. One person in particular was a Ning Li, who was publishing anti-gravity results in the 1990s when she mysteriously disappears. Amy was done speaking on the subject, and she ends up opening the floor for a Q&A. The audience, like I said, is full of NASA scientists and people who work for defense contractors, and they all seem to have this level of hesitation. The black world, which is also known as the secret research projects, are extremely well aware of anti-gravity. And this is what scientists in the room are bringing up. They spend tons of money on researching it and will force anything promising that gets published to the public, that it goes dark, and that particular person no longer publishes anything. The dark world, quote unquote, recruits these people into the black world. And in a roundabout way, they're like, you're either going to work for us doing these things, or you're not going to be doing anything at all. Your career will be done. I'm not saying they're going to disappear them, but they definitely put them in a position where they essentially don't have a choice.
I mean, it sounded like they disappeared that other gal.
Yeah, we get back to her later, but there's some oddities with that. But the audience is definitely speculating, like, if we go against the black world, the secret research projects, we will be disappeared. Like, that is going to happen.
Yeah, you hear that with any people that make a breakthrough in technology that will essentially change the framework of our everyday lives and affect big companies' money, like water-powered engines and cure for specific diseases. A lot of times those people end up in not good situations
Right.
or just not existing anymore.
And you gotta realize too, whenever you're dealing with these people who are creating these fantastical new technologies, most of them are probably doing it from a humanitarian effort. Like they're wanting to literally change the world for the better. So they are going to be the people that most likely have the strongest morals. They're going to be like, no, fuck you. I'm not trying to bury all this shit. Like this is going to change the world.
Yep.
Furthermore, it doesn't even have to be humanitarian. There's also going to be the type of person that is like, you kiss my ass. Do you know how much money this is worth?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so you want me to give this to you to use for whatever you want, not to mention you take credit for this, even though I did it all. And then I'm not going to get paid for it. You kiss my ass. I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah.
So that's gonna definitely prompt the powers that be to take these actions that are obviously undesirable. All the scientists in the room, though, at this presentation, they seem to worry about two things when it comes to Amy's Institute. They wonder, okay, well, where's all the money going to come from? Who's it coming from? And she says that she's got several billionaires on the hook, including Mr. Robert Bigelow. She name drops him.
That was the first person I thought about whenever you were talking about all of the things that her institute was delving into.
And obviously it catches his attention.
Yeah, it felt like something that he would have his hands in. I almost said it, but I didn't, because I'm like, it feels very Bigelow-esque in what she's trying to achieve.
Man, you're dead on, because he was one of the investors. And then the obvious other problem is the disappearing problem. They mention this several times throughout their discussion. And Amy is convinced that if they work on their projects in the public, then they'll have a better chance of not disappearing. But the audience is kind of on the contrary, where they're like, I'm not so sure about that, because if you remember, we mentioned her a little bit, but Ning Lee, they keep bringing her up. Like, she got disappeared, and she was publishing things in the 90s about this research. They all also speak on a little quote about NASA itself, which is interesting. They don't elaborate too much, and I wish they could, but they don't. But the quote comes from Michael D. Griffin, who was the administrator of NASA from 2005 to 2009. He said, and I quote, NASA is no longer by any means a research organization. What that means, I do not know.
That's interesting.
Yes. Very interesting.
No longer a research organization.
It doesn't imply very good things.
No.
But Ning Lee here, she was an anti-gravity researcher living in Huntsville, Alabama in 1999. Or no, in 1999, I'm sorry. Popular Mechanics wrote an article about her. From there, she ends up leaving the University of Alabama and forms the AC Gravity LLC. In 2001, it was awarded a $500,000 DoD contract, and then the company goes dark. No more publishing comes from her at all, and people almost start to wonder, like, what is she doing? Where is she at? Because she was publishing all this promising anti-gravity stuff, and now it's just gone. People began to have speculations on what happened to her. Obviously one of the speculations, like she had been killed or moved back to China and was now researching anti-gravity for the Chinese government. Or that she was actually still in Huntsville, continuing her research in the dark for the U.S. government / defense industry. At some point, they all finally got their answer. It took a reporter to go digging around for her, and they end up finding her surviving son, because at this point she was deceased. He told the reporter that she never actually left Huntsville and kept doing her research until she died in 2021. However, her son spoke on how Ning Lee used to be this happy person, and you can imagine so. She's creating and researching fascinating technology. But whenever she got strong-armed into working for the DOD, her entire being changed. I don't know the implications of this, but they sound horrible. He's like, she obviously couldn't talk about anything now that she was with the DOD. She would also come home with her makeup messed up and just wore out, which is such a bizarre statement to make, if you ask me. The fact that she's coming home with messed up makeup.
Like she's been crying or something.
Something. He doesn't elaborate on what it is, but the fact, it's bizarre that she would come home with her makeup messed up. Yeah, it just doesn't give you good vibes at all.
No.
Supposedly, Ning Lee was struck by a car in 2014, which led to permanent brain damage. And this could have created the end for her, leading her into Alzheimer's, which is what would eventually take her life in 21. And you could speculate on the car accident. You know, I never found any research that seemed to suggest that, but weirder things have happened. Back to our Amy, though, in 2020, she finally launched, she went with it and just was like, all right, I'm doing it. I'm launching the Institute. And she does exactly what she said she was going to do. With that being said, she does end up recruiting some of the scientists from NASA. She began making progress in her research. In September of 2020, there was a Falcon Space company that was attempting to present some of their research at the Estes Park conference. So a quick question from myself that a lot of you would probably ask as well. Who is Falcon Space? So I decided to look into him. I even messaged it to Steve because I'm like, look how fucking bizarre this website is. You look it up, and right off the rip, they have this epic AI picture of a UFO right on the opening page of their website. It's, the company itself is based around advanced propulsion research and development. You scroll down a bit, and they make it sound like they have access to UFOs and are reverse engineering them. And here is like an actual quote from the website. Like, it gets right into it. It says they call it the UAP. I stick with the UFO. However, unidentified aerial phenomenon are high performance aerospace vehicles utilizing technology that appears to be far more advanced than current aerospace designs. Understanding and replicating their propulsion represents an unparalleled opportunity to reach the stars. Through meticulous observation, data collection, and cutting-edge research, we're striving to work on UAP technology. Our reverse engineering efforts focus on understanding the propulsion, energy sources, and advanced materials possibly associated with these phenomena. Imagine a world where the technologies behind UAP are understood and integrated into our daily lives. The implications for space travel, energy production, and global communication could be revolutionary. By unlocking the secrets of UAP, we aim to propel humanity into a new era of technological advancement. The journey to understanding UAP is filled with challenges and uncertainties, but with every discovery, we redefine the boundaries of what's possible. Explore our findings, delve into our research, and be a part of this groundbreaking journey with Falcon Space. So, with all that, I mean, it literally sounds like they have access. They're working on it. They're ready to rock.
Yeah. I tried to look into them a little bit. If you go to the website, dude,
it's flashy.
UFOs heavily implied everywhere. Like almost every page you click on has a low-key UFO on it. So it has the links to their socials. So I immediately go to Twitter, and their Twitter is almost non-existent. There's one single post, and it has a background picture of like, it almost looks like, it looks kind of set up like our podcast room, honestly.
Yeah, it's definitely...
It's like two tables in a basement.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't know what you need to discover anti-gravity. But, I mean, I don't know. It's weird.
It's definitely strange. But there was a section that I saw where I ended up finding out that Amy kind of works hand in hand with this Falcon Space. But there was a point where Falcon Space was ready to make a presentation at the Estes Park conference. But Amy ends up sending him a cease and desist order for the material that they were attempting to present, because apparently this material wasn't approved for release due to its relation with NASA. So that's definitely weird that it almost sounds to me like he got excited with whatever they were doing and was like, we got to fucking talk about it, obviously. And so he's like, this is what I'm going to talk about at the conference. And Amy's like, no, you're not. We can't do that because it has these ties to NASA that we have to get cleared first. We can't just get out there and start blabbing about this shit.
I wonder if that's how that works. If you're not under contract with NASA, or if you haven't signed an NDA, if they just say, hey, you can't talk about it. Cease and desist you would think, how the fuck does cease and desist work?
I don't know.
Is it somebody stealing somebody else's work?
I don't know.
Because like copyright infringement and shit, you just send, if somebody's stealing your shit, you just send them a cease and desist. Like, hey, stop using our shit.
Yeah. And maybe this section of it, the cease and desist, was after the interview I watched with all of them in it. You know, maybe there was a type of falling out later. Or maybe she panicked and was just finding any way to get the information off the docket so he couldn't compromise himself or her.
A cease and desist is a written notice demanding that the recipient immediately stop an illegal or allegedly illegal activity.
So it probably had, whatever they're working on most likely had an NDA with NASA.
Probably.
And then because they're both on this page of like disclosure. We're going after it. We're letting this shit out in the public. And you know how you get sometimes when you get motivated like that. You're like, well, fuck the NDA.
Yeah.
I'm going hard in the paint. That's what we agreed to do.
Yep.
Because she ends up having a lot of really fucked up things happen to her, which will make you come back around, you know, on what possibly could have happened to the poor girl. But like Steve was saying earlier about the Falcon Space, I want to point this out. It almost looks like his lab is in the bottom of a basement. Like, it's just really weird. It looks like a small room. It's not what you picture, especially if you look at the website first. You expect this big, extravagant Elon Musk style facility.
The website's legit.
Yeah, it's good. But I also was looking into Ning Lee, and she created that Anti-Gravity LLC, and she has a few locations that are registered to the LLC. And when people started looking into those locations, they have the same appearance. They're very small buildings. with very small rooms inside them. One of them only has one listed company at this building, and it's a window tinting company. None of the things inside there suggest that there's a anti-gravity LLC working inside this building.
Dude, that is so weird. So weird to me that they're like, you would think projects like this have huge funding, right?
Yeah.
Because like Ning Lee got like $500,000 grant from the DOD, I read on there.
Yeah.
To continue her work. You'd think that like there would be a lot of money back in these things.
Oh, I'm sure.
And they're working in like sheds and stuff.
Yeah, like little dumps. But apparently the cease and desist that Amy put forth to Falcon, somehow I don't know much about it, but apparently it would only stop the paper from coming out for 30 days. But, and this is curious, I'm going to assume that this is all happening after the interview I watched, so I put it out of order. But that paper never ended up seeing the light of day. And furthermore, after the cease and desist, Amy started to go dark. Nothing further came out from her publicly, and she ended up passing 2 years later. So that does suggest to me, now that I know the full story and can work it around in my head, it does suggest to me that they did get to her. Because she inevitably goes dark.
Yeah.
And that could be a reason why she sent the C&D to Falcon Space. Is like, no, you don't understand what the fuck is happening right now.
Yeah. Yeah. You just implemented me into a scenario that I do not want to be in.
Yeah. And she does allude to that during the interview that I watched. And I wouldn't even call it an interview. You can find it out there. It's on Rumble. It's the only place I could find it. It's like a 3.5 hour long video. It's crazy. It's very candid. And it feels more like a business meeting than an interview, because they're trying to make a documentary, so on and so forth. So it's very candid. It's very comfortable with the people involved. But I would definitely say that the cease and desist came afterwards. And so after she passed, the internet does what the internet does and begins looking into the passing of Amy. And while doing some research, this guy found some information, and it said, we are still investigating the suspicious death of one of our former colleagues from NASA, Huntsville, Amy Eskridge, who was found dead from a gunshot wound last Friday. Expect to follow up in some interviews once we conclude our investigation. Shortly after this, that was changed to untimely and unexpected instead of suspicious. People in the comments then started to come forth suggesting that she lived with chronic pain and she had stopped taking her meds, which may have led Amy to deleting herself, which I hope that isn't the case. And regardless of any of the situations, it's extremely sad that this brilliant mind has been taken from us. But then you also have a Frank Milbourne who, when you look him up, has a shitload of military ties. And apparently he has over 20 years with the intelligence communities. Regardless of that, he was on a podcast and he was discussing how he had been focusing on directed energy weapons being used against scientists in the UAP field. Supposedly, he knows scientists that have been murdered by these types of weapons. He's like, these weapons are mobile. Like, you can mount them to trucks. And he says, and I quote, fry people through windows.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it's very concerning.
If you start, not to kind of veer off, but if you start to Google NASA scientist deaths, some weird shit going on.
Yeah, I didn't get into that, but I meant to, because this all spurred from like NASA information that I've been seeing. And so I'm like, I'm really going to start. I just got that wild hair where I'm like, I'm going to start moving some pieces around, kicking some rocks over and see what I can find.
Yeah. NASA's Science Program Director for Solar System Exploration was killed on June 18th, 1997. Died when a tree crushed his car during a severe storm.
Yeah.
This is 2016. NASA research scientist who worked at the Wallops Flight Facility has been found dead a day after her family reported her missing. She was found in a wooded area behind a Food Lion store.
Well, like Amy was saying, man, like she's like, if you create something awesome, and 90% of the time these scientists are so fucking smart that they'll have a concept in their head, they'll build that concept, and it'll work like they expected first time.
Dude, there's another one from 97. NASA scientist killed while walking home. NASA computer scientist was beaten to death near his home. They have no suspects and no leads in his slaying.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But she was saying how when they create these designs in their mind, whatever they are, the government will come in and take them and bury them, and then just give the scientists a new task to go after. What she says, what'll end up happening is it's almost like some MK Ultra type shit, because it comes into this like mental torture type situation where these scientists are constantly looking for validation, because it's like they're pouring their lives and their life's work into these designs and these inventions, and then they're being taken from them, and then it gets buried. So they get no recognition from their hard work at all, and then they just get put onto the new task.
You have to start back at zero.
You got to start all the way back over. And so she's like, it really fucks with a lot of these scientists. But somebody, like I said, somebody was looking through the research on Amy's passing, and they found the information about the GSW, and then they also found this, and I could not find like an origin, like where it came from. There was a link to the actual document, but I don't know what it was for. They just call it a 177-page document that comes out containing UAP history. This document suggests that Frank Milbourne made actual claims about Amy specifically being the one who was hurt by these directed energy weapons. Although on the podcast, he apparently never mentions her name. In the same document, you have a mention of a journalist, Ross Coulthart, stating that people involved in high-level physics who worked in Huntsville, Alabama, have been disappeared. He also states that the BAE systems deserve a very close look because of who they've taken over. So you start looking into BAE systems. They take over a Ball Aerospace, which by the website of Ball Aerospace, it sounds like it is a very DARPA-ish organization. It's got a ton of DoD operations, and it just feels like it's like an extension or a wannabe DARPA. The United States Air Force actually tries moving the U.S. Space Command to Huntsville. It seems that Huntsville is the Silicon Valley of anti-gravity research.
That's strange.
Yeah, and Amy is like, it's literally the biggest story that you don't know about. The fact that all of the best propulsion, rocketry, anti-gravity, all of it is Huntsville, Alabama.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
What year did she die?
2022.
All right.
22.
Because I'm looking here at Falcon Space has a YouTube channel that they are fairly keeping up on.
Oh, like really?
Their last post was 5 months ago. Looks like they do lives too, like open discussion directly from their labs.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's not very big. 2,000 subscribers.
Well, whatever it was, they had caught the attention of Amy because it sounded like they were working together or trying to work together on something.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering when she passed away, because I wonder if she's on any of these older videos.
That's a good question. From there, though, but like I was saying, they tried moving the U.S. Space Command to Huntsville. Apparently, most of the aerospace defense contractors also have headquarters in Huntsville, and they acknowledge that like Huntsville is actually a massive espionage target.
I would have never, ever have guessed that.
No, not at all. But I mean, I remember researching, and I'll get into the name later. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But on their website, it's like a defense missile contractor type deal. They legitimately have like the warnings on their website. It was like one of it was community health. I'm assuming like the health of the facility was at an alpha, which is like, you know, good. Like we're straight. And then the other one, I can't remember what they actually used, but it was something to the effect of like community force or something like that. And it was at Bravo, and that said it was basically listed as terrorism likely but predictable. It's fucking weird.
Huntsville is known for technology, space, and defense industries, with Army's Redstone Arsenal, NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center,
the Arsenal,
and Cummings Research Park.
What was that? Arsenal?
Redstone Arsenal.
Redstone Arsenal. That was it. Oh yeah, that's right. Like literally the next. But anyways, I from all of that, I get into that 3-hour interview, which, like I said, turns out she's trying to pair up with Falcon Space or vice versa, because one of the dudes there is actually in this interview, and right out of the gate, Amy mentions Redstone Arsenal and how it's one of the biggest deals that no one knows about, which is unfortunately all she alludes to. So naturally, I decided to look into Redstone Arsenal. It looks like it's ran by the United States Army. It seems to be a weapons and rocket testing facility. They work on all types of high-end things. Under their tenant units / organizations, here's some of the things that I'm assuming they work hand in hand with. NASA Marshall Space Flight Center, United States Army Combat Capabilities Development, Command Aviation and Missile Center, Missile Defense Agency, DIA Missile and Space Intelligence Center, United States Army Space and Missile Defense Command, ATF National Center for Explosives Training and Research, FBI Terrorist Explosive Device Analytical Center, FBI Hazardous Device School. So obviously they're working with like the upper echelons of government.
Yeah.
Like I said, Amy claims that Huntsville is like one of the biggest deals in the world. And she says that it's literally number 3 on the strike first list. Like she's like, if Russia decides to nuke us, we are 3rd on that list. Because we are so prominent in our fields.
Yeah, that's so... Dude, it's linked to so many different things.
The Redstone?
Yes. It's crazy.
Yes. I mean, she doesn't elaborate on it, but she says it is the biggest fucking deal that nobody knows about.
It's in a national wildlife refuge.
That's weird.
Yeah. Based adjacent to Huntsville, Alabama, in the Wheeler National Wildlife Refuge. The Wheeler National Wildlife Refuge is a 35,000-acre national wildlife refuge along the Tennessee River, established to provide a safe habitat for wintering and migrating birds in the eastern United States. It was established during World War II. The immediate post-war era arsenal was used for research and development by German rocket scientists who were brought to the United States as part of Operation Paperclip.
Yeah, she does mention von Braun helped them win the space race there.
Tenant organization and commands tied to this unit. Department of Defense is the Missile Defense Agency and the Defense Intelligence Agency, specifically Missile and Space Intelligence Center. From the United States Army, you have the U.S. Army Space and Missile Defense Command, Strategic Command, U.S. Army Material Command, U.S. Army Aviation and Missile Command, U.S. Army Contracting Command, U.S. Army Security Assistance, Engineering and Support Center, Combat Capabilities Development Command, Aviation and Missile Center, Redstone Test Center, National Aeronautics and Space Administration. You have the Marshall Space Flight Center, and Blue Origin, which is a space industry support and rocket development testing. The Department of Justice, it houses the FBI's Operation and Analytical Support Headquarters, Terrorist Explosive Device Analysis Center, Hazardous Device School, Tennessee Valley Regional Computer Forensic Labs, and with the ATF is the National Center for Explosive Training and Research. A lot of rockets, a lot of explosives.
Lots of space.
Yes.
It's fucking weird, man.
In the middle of a wildlife refuge.
Which is even stranger. But as we move forward in this interview that she's taken part of, she's like one of the main goals. I'm bringing all this information to light. I'm getting it all out there. She's like, we are going to create a full-scale documentary on everything. I want it out in the public as fast as I can get it. And then after that happens, we are going to contact a large journalist to help break the story just wide open. Which I'm sure most likely caught attention of people she doesn't want. So she's convinced that all this is going to protect her. And if something were to happen, then people would know her name and things would be done. And it's, I mean, I could definitely understand her mentality behind all of that, because me and Steve have kind of made the same comments as well. But whenever everything's hidden on how you passed, or sometimes it's just simple accident, that's the way it appears. Well, it kind of,
it's even almost more sus.
Yeah. Anyways, she starts bringing up the SSP, Secret Space Program. Apparently these are all tied up with Lockheed, Boeing, and Northrop. And she brings up Ed Teller and how she actually employs Ed Teller's best friend. And his name is Bill Dent. But she's about 100% positive that this Bill Dent works for the CIA/SRI, and they're just using him to monitor all of her progress, sometimes sabotage. Because you can, like I said, you can tell with this interview that it's very candid, and so the subject matter is not linear. It just bounces all over the fucking place. So it made it really hard to track. But there are little nuggets of like awesome information throughout the interview. And from there, she kind of branches off, because I may or may not have mentioned, but during this interview, there's three people. There's her, the Falcon Space dude, and then this other dude who I'm assuming he's brought in to this Jeremy Rise. He was brought in to do the documentary, and they're all kind of sharing ideas. It's kind of like a business meeting type situation. But unfortunately, I don't know if it's on purpose or not, but the Jeremy's audio is missing from the entire 3-hour interview.
That's
so
weird.
Yeah, you'll have like large sections of just like dead silence, and then Amy will answer a question or a statement that you didn't get to hear. So it's kind of confusing and hard to follow at times.
I wonder if that has to do with whatever, like, pushed Amy to push that cease and desist.
Maybe.
If that shit had to be cut out because it was highly sensitive.
I don't know. Like I said, you literally don't get to hear any of it. You have no idea. You hear her responses and her thoughts on the matter that gets presented to her, but you don't. You could take an educated guess at times, but sometimes it's tell you like he has a long section of dialogue, and there's no way you're going to guess everything that he said.
It's so weird. It's so weird.
But they get into, he must ask a question, and she gets into who has discovered anti-gravity independently, because apparently NASA has a list of who's actually pulled this off, and there's 5 people on that list. She said Tesla was the first. There was a Russian man that I couldn't even attempt to spell or say his name. I couldn't even hear it that well because it cut out. But I did catch that it was a Russian man. There's a Ken Wheeler, a Dan Cooper, and her dad was on that list. It goes through this because every time these people have tried to come out with this anti-gravity technology, that information gets suppressed. But this Dan Cooper, who's on that list, claims that they want Amy to come out with it. Like they're at this point, they are ready for Amy's information to hit the general public. They're just sitting around twiddling their thumbs, waiting for someone to publish it. But Amy speaks on separate factions within the government, which we do hear often about, because Amy has also had the flip side of this little motivational speech from Dan Cooper. She's also had her life threatened several times because of this information. Furthermore, she's also being told, which is horrifying as a woman, but she's also being told that they will do the unthinkable to her before deleting her. Which we all can, you all know what that is. Yeah. To this point, Amy also admits that she has come home several times and noticed that her panty drawer will have been messed with in a way that she specifically notices.
That's creepy.
Very. Very. And she goes through these break-ins that happen at their place. So at the time, she was living with a boyfriend, and her boyfriend also witnessed these events as well. So it's not just her spouting shit. They said that these break-ins would only happen when they both left the house, and they both left the house in one car together.
That's weird.
Yeah, then the break-ins would occur. She said the first time anything actually happened that they noticed, they came home and they noticed a USB was plugged into, I'm assuming like a power outlet USB thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But apparently this USB was cut in half. Someone had physically cut it in half. For whatever fucking reason. She doesn't even know what it means. But they're both like, well, this is fucking weird. This is strange. I don't know why anyone would have taken the time to do this. Is that it? Yeah, that was it for the first one. The second time almost suggests that they have her bugged because one night they were laying in bed and her boyfriend had the bedroom window open. She asked him, like, hey, will you close it because I'm getting chilly? He's like, sure. But he never did. He left it open, and she found that out in the morning. So by the morning time, she's like, well, it was already like warm, so I just left the window open. And when she came back, because her boyfriend was already at work, she left for like an hour or so. She came back and the window was closed at this point. She's like, well, I didn't fucking close it. And I know he didn't come home because he's at work.
That's creepy.
All right, so this is weird. And then the third time was by far the most bizarre. She's like, the third time, it was when they left to go somewhere. Her boyfriend had plugged in a pair of Bluetooth headset. And he specifically remembers that when he plugged them in, they were at 36%. When they got home, they found that the headphones were actually unplugged and still at 36%. So she's like, somebody would have had almost done that immediately. Furthermore, she goes to her bedroom and she finds her panties all over the floor. And she's like, and they were, because she specifically describes the type of underwear they were. She's like, they're the one-off underwears that you get for like a wedding reception or some type of special event that always, like, she's like, the women don't know. It sits at the bottom of your underwear drawer because you rarely do anything with them. But those were the ones that were on the floor. So somebody went through the entire drawer.
Yeah. Almost making it set up like she had some weirdo out after her.
Yeah, yeah.
Because what better patsy than somebody like being a friggin' weird sex stalker?
Well,
and the woman ends up dead.
It's even weirder too because it gets to a point where, because of his affiliation with Amy, the guy from Falcon Space ends up getting fucked with too. He says he receives an email, and this. I almost think this is fucking weirder than Amy's underwear drawer. The email was addressed to the Falcon Space, and it was almost like, the way he describes it, it's literally almost like a permission slip for children from 8 to 11 years old, which his daughter is 8, to go on an adventure of a lifetime, millions of years in the future, with the USC Hawkeye, which is United Space Command Hawkeye. He's like a fucking time travel machine.
What?
But I tried looking it up and I couldn't find shit. I found links to like USC Hawkeye baseball. And then in regards to time travel, it's something to Hawkeye from the Avengers.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. That's the only thing it brings up is the Hawkeye time travel.
Yeah.
What?
Fucking weird, dude. Weird. There was another weird occasion involving an investor from Austin, and he was apparently a real estate investor. So it's weird that the conversation even fucking goes this way. But he comes over one day. This is when Amy was younger. And he's there to talk to her father. Well, they get on the topic of ultra-terrestrials.
Oh, great.
Right?
These sons of bitches again.
Yeah. So the way that it gets explained to her father and herself is that extraterrestrials are from somewhere else, like not of this planet.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. I think we could all collectively agree on that.
Yeah.
Ultra-terrestrials apparently are from here.
Yeah.
And she's like, and they look like you and me. Which is interesting. But it's also interesting in the concept that it, with the rumors and stuff that we've heard about humans being vessels or storage containers, kind of in this weird parallel. But the question she poses is, if ultra-terrestrials are here, why are they, quote unquote, so much better than us? So from here, and it's fucking weird because there's the distraction moments throughout this conversation that kind of wax and wane, and it's hard to follow. But from here, she speaks on something we've covered before in our Dan Bursch episode. She says that the ultra-terrestrials are actually us from the future, the P-52 and the P-47, which in Dan's episode, I talked about the P-45s and the P-52s. So I don't know if maybe she freeballed the 47 and got it confused, or if there's multiples.
You would think that it would probably keep, there's probably different aspects of it.
Right. But she specifically brings up the entire thing that Dan was talking about, the apocalypse scenario where one section of humanity goes underground to survive whatever's going on. The other section somehow figures out how to stay on the surface and survive. And if you remember, the P-45 is present time plus 45 years. That's where the individual is from. And a weird side note got me thinking. I actually messaged Steve about it today. I was like, so if in regards to the clip me and Steve have seen about where the ghost hunter is speaking to the individual from the future, you do the math, it's right in the ballpark.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right in the fucking ballpark.
Yeah. What?
Really fucking strange. Really fucking strange.
Oh,
Because all I texted Steve today was like, hey, do me a solid. What year did that guy say he talked to this person? And he got me the year, and
yeah,
I was like, cool, thanks.
that is right.
It's looking right there. It's right there. It's a little off, You're looking at anywhere from like 58 to 60.
Yeah,
Some of that neck of the woods. Because it was 2082, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Fucking strange, though. Very strange.
That is weird. What an odd correlation.
Yeah. Like, who would have thought that
to link two things together?
It would have been bridgeable between current and then this.
Yeah, because if that was falsified, that's a lot of ground he covered to make that shit make sense. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Fucking it's bizarre, dude. But Amy even goes on, like, at this point in the interview, she's kind of like slapping everything, man. She has ties to Cicada 3301. Apparently one of the guys that had actually figured out the 3301 mystery, he goes by the handle of Cosmo God. He tries to recruit her. And she refuses because, like, he sends her all the puzzles. He's like, here, figure it out. I think you're a great bioscientist, hacker, whatever the fuck. And she's like, no, I'm not. And he's like, well, here's all the puzzles. Figure it out and get back to me. And she's like, no, if you're going to test me on something, you have to test me on something that I have merit in. I don't hack.
Valid.
So I'm not going to do it. But apparently one of her people figured it out. And it showed like porthole footage of like Saturn and Jupiter and shit. It was in like old black and white. Like they got sent a video, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Weird fucking thing. But it's just crazy because it's almost like, in her own sense, Amy is a rock star because she like name drops all these people, Bigelow, and like because of who she is, she has connections across everything, like a rock star would.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? In the end, like I kind of touched on earlier, she made it sound like the government have these MK Ultra style tactics they take with the scientists, never allowing them to get credit for their work. Like I said, they'll task them with something, take it away, optimize it for the black world, then give them a new task, which, according to Amy, makes them constantly search for validation, and it just mentally fucks all these scientists. She's like, I know so many scientists that want to delete themselves. I know so many.
Yeah, they like she said, they almost may push you to that point.
Yep. And apparently, according to her, in like some of these strong arm tactics, they'll do all types of stuff.
And if you're somebody like outside looking in, when she's going off there at the end, it makes her sound like she may be off the rails a little bit.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When she's like, there's people breaking into my house, there's people from this like underground recruiting office that are trying to get me here, and there's this and there's that and there's this and there's that. Somebody outside listening in to be like, sure there are.
Oh yeah, yeah,
you know?
Definitely. And there's more in that interview. Like now that you say that kind of could allude to the fact that she
makes it want to seem that way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I believe her. I think she was honest in the interview. You could tell, unfortunately. And this isn't to discredit her by any means, because, like I said, it was like this casual business meeting. She had a couple beers. The guy from Falcon was having a couple drinks. Because, like I said, it's this like getting to know you type situation. Like, this is what I want for the interview, like the documentary we're going to be creating. It was just casual. It was nothing like this is being presented to the public. But somebody must have posted it like, shit, I'm going to put this out there. But at the end of all of it, a lot of people even theorized that Amy was one of the people that David Grush was talking about during the UAP hearings, who had been offed in this type of research.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yep.
That is interesting.
So it's just a bizarre story.
Yeah, because Falcon Space could fall directly in to the private sector who, like, if you go to this Falcon Space website and look at their, what they focus on, advanced propulsion, research and development, UAP reverse engineering.
Yeah.
Dynamic nuclear orientation and other research projects.
Like these guys are into like the out there shit.
Yeah.
And they're open. Like you said, like literally there's pictures of UFOs on dude's website.
Yeah. Yeah. This could be a organization that they were alluding to in the congressional hearings.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
It's weird.
It's absolutely bizarre, man.
I wonder if...
And it's crazy because like everything that Amy talked about kind of came to fruition for her. Like she probably did something outstanding, got sucked into the black world, and was never able to crawl back out. Because she went ghost mode for 2 years prior to her passing.
Yeah. I wonder if these guys have had threats on them. You know, I mean, the email was fucking weird.
Yeah.
But like, if any of them were have started noticing the same weird.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't, and I also wouldn't doubt it if they have DOD contracts with NDAs.
Some of these people don't even look real.
Hell, according to the guy from Falcon, because it seemed like him and Amy were pretty solid friends. Apparently, Bob Lazar and what's his face wanted to work with Amy.
Really?
The guy that's always hanging out with Bob, what's his name? I can't think of his freaking name. I'm sure everybody's screaming it at me right now, but I can't think of his name. But apparently they were trying to hook up with Amy and work with her.
I mean, she had connections to a lot of
everything,
powerful players in the game.
Everything. Not to mention her dad was who he was, which had massive ties to it.
And what quicker way to shut everybody else in that scenario up than to drop somebody?
Oh yeah, like I said, they were talking about the guy who was originally researching all of this shit was like, the directed energy weapon doesn't make any sense because it's too flashy, it's too public. Unless the only time it makes sense is if you're trying to send a message to everybody else in the community.
Yep. That's exactly what I thought.
And I almost feel like the guy presenting that information that I was reading said that on purpose. Like it was this whole bait and switch, like, no, it definitely doesn't make sense. Unless. And I feel like the unless was what he was actually trying to say.
Yeah, he's like winking in the background.
Yes, exactly.
He's saying no, but shaking his head yes.
Right. And I mean, it does make sense to say that. Like, because she was the one. She was the one pushing for disclosure.
Yeah.
And they have all these fuckers round up in Huntsville. They're all right there in this same yard.
Yeah.
Where they can easily be monitored, easily can be fucked with. They can easily be gotten to.
And it was, I mean, if it was a hit piece, it was like just a big FU to everybody involved. Because she was out there and open, like, hey, people are breaking into my house. People are going through my shit. There's weirdos contacting me all the time. And everybody's like, yeah, that's pretty sus. And then she ends up murdered.
Yeah. As far as we know, there wasn't like a real confirmation on how she passed. And I hope, I mean, either way, it's tragic. I hate like researching like down those avenues, because you want to be respectful to the individual. And like I said, I couldn't give her enough props. That woman was a fucking genius. Absolute genius. She would shit stomp me any day of the week. And I feel sorry for the family.
It really just kind of leads credence to those guys who testified in the congressional hearing.
Yeah.
What are they hiding to the point that they literally will kill people to protect it?
Well, even boiled down and reduced, bro. Like, you're also talking about people's bankroll.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we know people will kill people for that.
yeah. Like, could you imagine on any front someone coming out with something that's half the size of a power plant that creates unlimited energy, like it never runs out, like essentially be free energy for the planet?
Oh yeah,
they're gonna be like, no. This is not ever coming out. And you know what? We're not even gonna take a chance on you. You're getting ghosted. And this information is being buried to the depths.
Yeah.
Because that just fucks with our bottom end, man. And we can't have that.
And
until we've depleted all those resources, we are not coming out with this technology.
Maybe that's what they're trying to hide from disclosure. Is this, because you think about Serpo, right? And they talk about the cube with the sphere inside it being this untapped, unmanned energy source that they had on this planet. Now you're hearing of people having UAP encounters where they're seeing these cubes with the sphere inside moving around.
Right.
Like moving through the sky. What if whatever these things are coming to, they're like, hey, the people, the lower middle class have suffered enough. We're going to present them with this alternate form of energy. Think how much money that frees up in your life.
Oh, yeah.
Ridiculous.
Oh, 100%.
And you got the big heads up top being like,
nope,
we're about to get fucked. About to get
not
fucked
happening.
up. Yeah.
Well, you do research across all of it, and the suppression of information and knowledge has been since the beginning.
Can you imagine starting an intergalactic war because you want to keep your multi-billion, trillion-dollar fucking big oil company on the top
Oh,
of
100%. You know it would happen. You know it would fucking happen.
Yes.
And anymore, like the more I look at most conspiracy theories, they almost all can be boiled down to fucking greed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the links that they'll take to bury it. Because like you said, it wouldn't fucking surprise me. I mean, I could see me doing it. If my race of beings had this cell phone looking device that just created free energy and could light up half of America forever.
Yeah. Or
like,
all everybody's everything forever.
Yeah. And like, why would I not just be like, man,
Here you go.
this shit sucks. Like, here you go. Just take it and like plug it in and you guys are all good.
Hey there.
You can focus on something else.
Yeah. Hey there, wage slaves. Here, have this. And the top 1% was like, no, they've got to keep working. Keep them going to their menial jobs where it means absolutely nothing.
Right.
Where we can take half of their wages. Not that we need it, because we're rich.
You know, because why wouldn't, if anti-gravity has already been established, and it's the same thing with all of this tech, any tech that gets talked about, if it's going to make life that much better, why isn't it already out?
Because they don't want our lives to get better.
Furthermore, like everybody says, the military is at least 50 years advanced than where we're at, 10, 20, 50, whatever the fucking number is. You know it's for a reason.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's for a reason.
They don't want our lives better.
Nope.
Keep us beat down. Keep us just content enough to give enough of a shit to pay our bills, to keep food, to attempt to keep food on the table, and to keep our dumb asses going back to our stupid jobs that don't matter.
Which is something, you know what, that I haven't actually ever considered, is that, because we always think, a lot of people think in the nefarious side of things or the shitty side of things, but imagine how dumpy it is to sit and fathom, you know what, humanity's leap forward in all these technologies, propulsion, anti-gravity, fucking electronics, all of it was 100% because a extraterrestrial being decided to come down and help humanity. And then mommy and daddy decide, they collectively go, thank you. We appreciate this technology. It's going to change our world forever. And then the beings leave and then they go, put that shit in the fucking back, lock that shit up. Yeah. This ain't ever getting out.
Send that to the military-industrial complex.
Yeah, put it in the deepest hole we got. Never seeing the light of day. Fuck that.
100%.
Dude. That
you know that's
sucks.
what would happen. You know that's what would happen.
Absolutely. It was definitely happen. Nobody there, it's never going to happen. There will be no salvation. Fucking suck. Even from aliens. Come to find out, they're out here giving us indestructible forever generators, and the government goes, nah, we're straight.
We'll take them. We'll take them.
We'll take them.
But you imagine being that alien, being like, damn, I just did something really noble.
Yeah.
Really
you're going
good.
home. You're going home to the wife. You're like, guess what I did today?
50 million light years, goes back home. 50 million light years, come back in to check, and everything's still fucked up. He's like, what? He's like, why?
How do these guys fuck that up? All they had to do was plug it in.
Yeah, why are these idiots still doing the same shit? And the military industrial complex is like, well, about that.
Yeah.
You know, like, technically, we did use it, but it's not for the betterment of the entire planet.
We're using it for our shit.
Yeah.
That way we don't have to pay the electric company.
Yeah. Think how much it would cost to power nuclear submarines if we didn't have this energy.
See, makes sense, right?
Think of how much money it would cost to shoot cars to Mars.
Yeah.
A lot.
With your box, we can now do it for free.
Yeah.
Thank
But
you.
we don't want Johnny Q Public to not have to pay his electricity bill.
Yeah.
You know? We don't want Holosky Steve to not pay the $450 electricity bill that he just had this month.
Yeah.
Because the less time he has to do cool shit, productive shit, means more time he can just keep doing stupid shit that don't matter that he has to survive. It's cool, but not that cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
In the end, you think the black world got the Amy?
Well, 100% yes.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
If it wasn't somebody that pulled the trigger, it got to her so emotionally and so mentally that, I mean, they were going to break her one way or the other.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what that boiled down
I do
to.
agree, and I feel so bad for her because she was probably a woman that could legitimately change the world.
Oh yeah, and she was trying to.
And she probably did change the world unknowingly.
She was attempting to do better.
Yeah, right.
You know,
which is what every normal, good human being would do.
They're like, whoa, pump the brakes.
Yeah. It's definitely an unfortunate story, but it goes to show the links that these people will take for this technology, for these inventions, for your hard work, your life's work, and they'll just take it from you.
Yeah. Fucking lames.
It is lame.
But what a way to kick off a Monday. Cog in the wheel, Holocult. For real though, R.I.P. to Amy.
Yes, absolutely. Much love and respect to you and the family.
Yeah, for sure. Nobody deserves to be taken out physically or mentally.
Nope.
Especially when you're trying to do something good. But that being said, check us out at all our social medias: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Discord, Reddit. Come be part of the Holocult. And until we meet again, stay safe, stay weird. And if any of you out there are working on anything for the betterment of the planet, keep it on the DL.
Send it to the P.O. box.
Send it to the P.O. box. Keep it on the DL. Because the less they know about it, the better off everybody is.